Laura Horvath and Patrick Velner quit because deep down they know that it doesn't really matter.
Hooray! Everything is meaningless!
Here's the winners and the losers from WFP Tour Stop #1 in Indianapolis. First winner is everybody who's continuing to participate in the CrossFit game season because they were head and shoulders above the people that abandoned the game season for the WFP.
You're failures! Failures!
This is basic economics.
Thus creating the self-sustaining economy we've been looking for.
It's like socialism versus capitalism, good versus evil. We knew this was going to happen. When you give something to somebody for free that they haven't earned, you don't get their best performance.
But we talking about practice, man.
This is why I perform my best in commission jobs and why a lot of people do. The amount of the population that will actually put forth their best effort without being incentivized the right way is a very small percentage. The people who continued in the CrossFit game season are peaking because they just did semifinals. They are all prepared and they are still in the running for the title of fittest person on earth, which matters. It's like winning an Olympic gold medal. It's what you chase your whole life when you're a CrossFitter. When you take that away, what do you have?
Everything is meaningless!
36 grand a year in a Letterman's jacket?
I just died on your arms tonight.
If you're lucky, less, I've heard, for a lot of people. Obviously, that makes the loser everybody who didn't participate in the game season and decided to put it all on the line for the WFP. Even if you win, it still just goes towards your salary. So if somebody's getting paid $24,000 a year and they win $20,000, they didn't actually win anything. It's like paying back a draw if you're a car salesman who gets a salary. Your commission then goes towards paying your salary, and anything above and beyond, you get paid extra.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
But it's not just the athletes. The real loser here is basic economics and capitalism. It's not really a loser because technically in the end, supply and demand will always win. And it will win here as well. If you look at Live Golf, even with what they did, with all that Saudi money, they're still not paying people what they're looking for, the biggest stars on their second contract, and it's starting to fall apart. What we thought was unlimited money with the Saudis, even that has a cap. We've got good money here, but we don't have Saudi money.
1 year membership in the Jelly of the Month Club.
It's just basic logic. What goes up must come down. Supply and demand. And the demand's never really been there for CrossFit as a spectator sport, unfortunately. I mean, imagine a business plan that is literally defined as for the athletes. For athletes, by athletes.
It is by athletes, for athletes.
By definition, that's destined to fail if it's not for the fans, for the sponsors. A business model of for the athletes is like starting a store called Johnny's Buy One $5 Bill, Get One Free Emporium. People who abandon the game season don't care. They might not even realize it. They can't care though. It's like the same ones in politics who are always clamoring us to give up more of our money and taxes to give to other people are the same ones who have the lowest reported charitable giving. It's just the way that socialism works. It's the way that handouts work. It's the way that the word deserves works. All you deserve is what supply and demand entails. Think professional Yahtzee players are out here living high and on a hog? Professional hobby horsers? Frisbee golf? You win based off your performance. None of them get a guaranteed paycheck. The only people who get guaranteed paychecks are franchises of major sports. NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Yankees. These are all franchises that make money by having events, consistently profiting off those events, having merchandise, and all these other different things. The players within that team that are part of that franchise that are employed are paid a salary. It's still based off performance. Better players get paid more.
What are we talking about? Practice?
But a salary nonetheless. Everything else, where it's just the individual, golf, tennis, fighting, it's always an independent contractor relationship and then sponsorships that gets you paid. I can't even think of another instance where you're given a guaranteed income, particularly for a sport that's not in demand. Now, I get it. If you're a young athlete and you're 22, 23 years old, it doesn't make sense. You're beating up your body every day for 6 to 8 hours a day, and you are at the top of your sport. You've got 100,000 followers on Instagram. When you go to the CrossFit Games, you're in a stadium full of people asking for your autograph. It seems like you should be getting paid. I totally get that. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, the CrossFit Games has never really been profitable, or at least not that profitable. The same way that supply and demand will always win in the end, money will always talk with sponsors. You might be able to get sponsors up front, but if they're not getting a return on their investment, you won't be able to keep them. So even if the CrossFit Games was making money back when they had Reebok or when they had Noble, which I still don't think they were really making money, those didn't last. And this was the pinnacle of the sport. The only reason the CrossFit Games continues is because it's an arm of the bigger picture. It's an arm of the methodology. It all starts at the CrossFit Open. We all start in the same place. And this thing that is meant to bring health and wellness to people all over the world has this beautiful exhibition of what the CrossFit lifestyle can lead to at its pinnacle.
2 straight unbeaten wins for the defending CrossFit Games champion.
Nobody from the outside world cares about watching people do toes to bar. When people from the outside world watch me doing CrossFit, or I turn it on and they're watching it, they have no idea what's going on. It's not really marketable, unfortunately. I wish it was. I love CrossFit. But if you couldn't make money off the CrossFit Games, you're definitely not going to be able to make money off this, because this was like 1/20th of a scale of what the CrossFit Games was. So all the Letterman's jackets, the lights, the camera, the production, it's all smoke and mirrors. It only lasts as long as the investors are willing to lose money on it. It only lasts as long as sponsors are willing to lose money on it.
Fun coupons. See that?
On the sloop, John B.
I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. I like watching the best in the world do CrossFit, but what comes up will come down. It's just like I said that Laura Horvath would never win again. As soon as she made the decision to forego the CrossFit Game season, the margin for error at this level of eliteness in the sport is so small that as soon as your heart even senses just a little bit that maybe this doesn't matter,
is no stranger.
How could you possibly care about something else for a tiny amount of guaranteed income when you've spent your whole life chasing being the absolute best, being the fittest on earth? Even if you're not actively thinking in your head, this doesn't matter, I'm just trying to get a paycheck, your heart knows. And it showed.
I don't think anyone saw this coming here.
The people who are preparing for the CrossFit Games absolutely wiped the floor with the people who have given up on it and gone to the WFP. That is why we see this from Laura Horvath. And that's why we see this from Patrick Velner on his Instagram. Probably not one I'm going to tell my kids about. I showed up underprepared this weekend and got exactly what I deserved. My performance was disappointing, bordering on embarrassing. Sometimes a brutal reminder of what you need to do is just what you need. I love Patrick Velner. We probably disagree on a lot of things. If there's one person who can bounce back just for the pride of doing well and not ending on an embarrassing note, it's Patrick Velner. But I would still argue that the lack of being in peak shape because of the game season and knowing that this doesn't matter, this isn't what you've chased your whole life, affected him.
Everything is meaningless.
Free stuff always seems great. Socialism always seems great. Free healthcare, free tuition, guaranteed minimum income, even if you don't work. But it's never great. It always ends in disaster. So when athletes say this is what professional is supposed to look like, they don't really know what they're saying. I posted this on my Instagram. The WFP is like socialism. Use other people's money to create something that is amazing and luxurious at first, then everyone thinks this is how it should have been all along. But it's entirely fiscally unsustainable, and in the end, basic supply and demand will always rule the day. This is not what professional looks like. This is what an untenable loan looks like. You aren't the NBA. You aren't the NFL. You aren't even the NHL. You're not tennis, and you're not the UFC. The popularity of CrossFit is like professional disc golf. Or professional croquet, unfortunately. So all the money spent up front on these guaranteed contracts, the Letterman's jackets, paying for the travel, for the embedded stream. Do not get me started. I was just getting over this. Add the rewind button. Add the freaking rewind button. The money they spent on the announcers, the lighting, the venue, it all looked great. If we're talking about pros and cons of the actual event, it was a good event. But at the end of the day, you sold 1,000 tickets. If they were weekend tickets, that's $100 a pop. That is nowhere near the investment. Just look at the stadiums packed for the CrossFit Games and remember that they weren't able to make it profitable, or at least not very profitable at best. And that was built from the foundation of CrossFit as a methodology, the affiliates, and starting at the Worldwide Open, leading to finding the fittest on earth. There was a story behind it. There is a story behind it. How on earth do you think you're going to start backwards for the athletes with the professional sport and get people behind that to the level of the CrossFit Games, which still wasn't profitable, when you have none of that substance? I mean, yeah, you're trying to get affiliates now, but what are you selling them on? CrossFit started with everything else. The blood, the sweat, and the tears, the methodology, the affiliates, the community, and then it worked its way to the games. Everybody felt like a part of it, the people who wanted to. And even then, unfortunately, a lot of people within CrossFit gyms have no idea what's going on in the sport. So how are you going to get them in the rest of the world invested enough for you to actually turn a profit? You're not. So just enjoy it while it lasts. Oh, well, that wasn't really what this was supposed to be. I was supposed to go over winners and losers. Gosh, I think I give up. My heart's not even in it now. Who the freak cares? None of it matters. It just doesn't matter.
But we talking about practice, man.
Austin Hatfield, James Sprague, you guys did good. You're at the top tier with Jeff Adler. Only you three will win the games. There's like 7 or 8 of you after that who've got a chance at podium. Your logo looked good. The camera angles were okay. There was no rewind button, which was infuriating. Wins, losses, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I don't care anymore because none of it matters.
Life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired.
And my proof is Laura Horvath and Patrick Velner.
Annika Greer is no stranger.
That's all I got to say.